kept trading down.
What did they get for that? I don't even.
Well, when you trade down, usually what you do is you'll get picks or players and trade for your pick. So the higher pick is worth more, so you get more in return for it. So like so they had the 5th overall pick. That's worth a first round and a second rounder and like 3 players apparently, because that's what they got.
Oh wow.
But you see, the first rounder is like basically trading the first round pick. So they swapped first rounders, then they got a second rounder in addition to 3 relatively just unknown players in the Jets roster. And then I think for their 17th overall pick, they got the 19th overall pick from the Bucks and like a third rounder or something like that.
So they got a lot though. They got a lot.
If you do that, like the lower first round, top of the second round, you can get a lot of like 5th, 6th round picks. Actually, New England did a lot of that too.
Yeah, New England traded out of the first round.
Yeah, they basically did, because they had like a bunch of players they wanted, I think, in the second round.
No,
that was the coverage I kept when I was watching the coverage. That's what they kept saying was that the Patriots view this draft as very deep apparently, so they were okay with not picking until the second round.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is the Cowboys didn't pick until the 3rd round. They didn't even pick the first day.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's because they basically gave everything they had to the Lions in the middle of the season for Roy Williams, who did nothing for them.
Well, at least not last year. So let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. For fear of going through all 32 teams, which we won't. What do you think were the best couple of teams as far as drafting? What do you think?
I don't even have an opinion, honestly, because with the draft, I always take this approach, which is I have no clue how this is going to turn out. And beyond the first probably 15 picks, we're getting in a territory of players I haven't heard of.
Yeah, and I would actually agree with that. It's all just paperwork. I mean, on paper. It's all just stuff on paper.
I mean, okay, I just pulled up who the Patriots drafted. So they had they had 3 picks in the second round. They had the 2nd, 8th, and 9th pick in the second.
That's actually pretty good.
They had 4 picks in the second round, sorry. 2nd, 8th, 9th, and 26th picks in the second round. And they got a defensive back, a cornerback, a defensive tackle, and an offensive lineman. Now, if they all contribute, they had a great draft. If they don't all contribute, they had a terrible draft. They had a terrible draft.
And that's what you're trying to say.
But I don't know yet. And also, especially once you get beyond the first rounder, your first round pick, has to be a guy you're expecting to be a significant contributor. Doesn't mean he will be, but that should be your expectations, or you shouldn't be wasting the pick on him. And so you kind of have to look at it and say, either you picked a guy that I don't think will be a significant contributor, or you did. And that's how you kind of have to judge it. Second round down, I have no clue, especially since you don't know who's going to be the steal of the draft. People try to tell you right now who the steal is. You don't know until, at best, you won't know until September. But more likely, you won't know until September 3 years from now, or October 3 years from now.
Like a Tom Brady or something like that.
Yeah, and sometimes, you'll see it. Like Jared Allen was a 4th round draft pick. He was the steal of that draft, in my opinion. Too bad the Chiefs don't have him anymore. But that's the thing, though. That was actually a rare instance where he was actually starting by the end of the first year. But by now, everybody is in agreement. Jared Allen is a great defensive end, and it was a great pick. But you can't tell that. I can tell you right now, like the Chiefs, I know took a defensive tackle, I think in the 3rd round, and we picked 2 defensive tackles 2 years ago in like the 3rd round. So I can tell you right now, I'm thinking that those picks probably weren't very good, because we're taking another one. Or it was a defensive end. Okay, I thought it was a defensive tackle. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a lot of on paper, and that's why I don't really buy into the mock draft. I just don't.
Well,
we've already talked about it more than I've wanted to be honest.
I personally like the mock drafts. Like I said last week, my team sucks right now. So I look at it and I say, we have the 3rd overall pick. We picked Tyson Jackson. I am really concerned about this because this guy seems like a draft wonder, one of those guys that shoots up the ranks via workout numbers and stuff like that. But the thing about it is I saw a little bit of film on him, and he looked fantastic on the film that I saw on the draft. And so I say, hey, if he can do that for us, great pick. And we're all of a sudden our defense looks that much stronger, as in addition to if you add in the fact that we got 2 new linebackers and we trade for one, drafted one, all that, and our defense starts to look better. That's the only reason I find it exciting. I look at the mock drafts to know who my team's going to pick, especially 2 years ago when they had like the 22nd pick. I didn't know who we were picking. I kept reading them because I didn't know who was going to be available or who would be good. And we got Dwayne Bowe, and he turned out to be pretty good.
There you go. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm excited for the upcoming. I get excited really early for the NFL, so we'll see.
I don't get anywhere close to being interested until we get to training camp. I'm excited right now, but it's all hypothetical, and there's nothing I can really do except be excited. So
yeah, I'm glad that it's over for right now. I'm glad you were joking about the next mock draft. I'm glad.
No, but there probably will be one around July or August.
I can't even think about that.
Actually, it does annoy me when it's October in the NFL season, and I see on NFL channel they're talking about draft prospects and all that. I'm like, it's too early, and I don't care.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said when Mike was out here last week, and when we were on our show last week. I don't care. It's over. It's over. It's over.
Yeah. So I'll spare you with more draft talk. I'm gonna leave it like this as far as me, that I'm hoping that this Jackson character turns out to be good, or else I'm gonna be quite put off.
And I'll leave my draft talk with the fact that I think the Patriots definitely, on paper, improve their defense. We'll see.
As long as those people are contributors, The only thing against that, this last thing I'm going to say about the Patriots, though, is I do remember reading about when they got the second round pick from the Chiefs this year, that that's not that big of a deal, because if you look at their history, they haven't been very good in the second round drafting guys. A lot of their contributors come from like first or lower than second.
That's interesting.
So it's funny that they threw four picks at, and they traded around to get 4 picks. I gotta tell you right now, even despite what I said last week about the Bulls and the Celtics, I think this might be one of the greatest playoff series of all time, personally.
Yep, I think you got right when you look at the numbers, the fact that 3 of their 5 games have gone to overtime. Mm-hmm. That is unbelievable to me.
Oh, absolutely.
I legitimately think the Bulls. I mean, it's all the hearsay of they could be up 3-1 or whatever right now. Or, I'm sorry, they could have won the series by now. It's all hearsay. But I think they legitimately could win the series.
They can. Here's what concerns me, is that blowout game they suffered last week. If that happens again, they can't lose another game from here on out. They have to win the next 2, or else they're done. And secondly, it's when you get blown out, that means you have the capacity to get blown out. Or, what if they just don't show up next time? Because that's what happened. They just didn't show up, And the other thing is that they've won 2. They've won 2 last-second games and all that, and they've lost 2 last-second games, and they've lost 1 blowout. It seems like they can't blow anybody out, and they have trouble winning the close games. And if they do, like both the games they won were overtime.
Yeah.
But the Celtics have won in regulation twice, and they won in overtime last night. So it's kind of
I think it's interesting with the series. I think
3 out of 5 games overtime. That's spectacular.
Yeah, and I think that any 4 of those 5 games could have gone either way. So I think that's what makes this series even more compelling and even more exciting to watch. Is it could be 3-2 Bulls. It could be 4-1. The Bulls could have won the series. The Celtics could have won the series. It's gone. It's interesting how it could have gone either way with several of the games. And I agree with you though. What's interesting about the not showing up is like, did you hear about the Nuggets game the other night?
Oh yeah, the
121 to 63.
And can't believe that series is still going. Then you tell me if a team loses that bad, they should just be automatically eliminated in the playoffs.
They lost by 58. Yeah, it's like the Hornets lost by 58.
It's like if you lose by if the other team doubles your score, you're automatically eliminated. You're not winning this series.
Yeah,
it's almost like a mercy rule. Can't we have a mercy rule in basketball?
What's interesting is that series is 3-1, right?
Yes.
So the Hornets did win a game. But going with the not showing up thing, that game they clearly didn't show up, and it was on their home floor. It was in New Orleans. But
they lost by 60. I'm sorry, 58.
Yeah, no, they were nearly 8 more points, and the Hornets would have doubled their score.
Yeah, so it's kind of, to me, it's like, okay, you don't really belong here, do you?
Yeah, I just think that was interesting. I think the NBA playoffs have been really exciting, and actually, And
I've watched portions
our director,
of pretty much every game except for the blowout.
Our director would be happy